They talk to impress. You dominate by saying nothing. Silence becomes your weapon. Fear becomes your aura, and every room you enter bends to your invisible throne. This is how to dominate conversations without speaking much. Machiavelli, a guide to ruling the social world with presence, not noise. You'll learn how to manipulate without mercy, trigger desire and dread, and build a ruthless empire with nothing but stillness, eye contact, and frame control so strong it feels like Godfather energy. This is the Machiavellian glow-up they never saw coming. Now, I'm going to reveal the 6 lethal strategies, the exact weapons you need to dominate every conversation without ever speaking much. These are the secrets that separate kings from pawns. First, we have the silent throne effect. Then the predator's observation window, dread game, the fear of the unknown, the Machiavellian voice rule, the Godfather frame, and finally the invisible power exchange. Watch closely, because mastering these will make you feared, desired, and untouchable. 1. The silent throne effect. Let's talk about the most dangerous weapon you can carry in any conversation. Silence. Not the kind of awkward silence people fear, not the kind that feels empty or uncomfortable. I'm talking about purposeful, calculated silence. The kind that makes people lean in, makes them reveal their secrets, makes them bend without realizing they're bending at all. The moment you stop speaking, the room changes. The air thickens. The eyes of everyone around you flicker. And here's the brutal truth. The less you talk, the more power you have. Imagine walking into a room where everyone is vying for attention, shouting, laughing, trying to prove something. Most people don't even notice you at first, but then they do. They notice the calm, the composure, the unshakable presence, and suddenly every word they say feels inadequate. Every gesture feels exposed. They start to fill the silence, unknowingly revealing their fears, their desires, their weaknesses. And all you do is watch. You observe. You let your silence do the talking. Silence is more than just not speaking. It's a weapon of perception. It forces others to project onto you. Humans are meaning-making machines. They cannot stand a blank canvas. When you remain unreadable, they start guessing. Are you angry? Are you judging me? Are you impressed, amused, disgusted? That uncertainty is magnetic, and it's lethal. People begin to hang on your every micro-expression, every subtle shift of your eyes, every almost smile that never fully forms. That's the invisible throne. That's the empire you build without saying a single word. Now, understand this. This isn't about being shy. This isn't about being passive. This is strategic dominance. The most dangerous people in history, the ones who built empires and left legacies drenched in fear and desire, understood this instinctively. They didn't need to speak loudly to command loyalty or obedience. They didn't need to explain themselves. Their silence became the ultimate test of power. People feared them because they couldn't predict them. They desired them because they had to earn access to their attention. And every interaction became a transaction in which power flowed silently from one person to another. Here's the thing. Speaking too much diminishes power. It gives people information they don't deserve. It lets them understand your motives, your intentions, your plans. And the second they understand you, they can manipulate you back. They can find cracks. They can see fear, doubt, hesitation. Silence removes all that risk. Silence is a shield and a sword. It's the quiet ruler behind the throne, the unseen hand guiding the empire. It forces others to reveal themselves without ever knowing they've been played. The silent throne effect also elevates presence. Think about the last time someone entered a room and you immediately felt their energy. Maybe they said nothing, maybe they barely looked at anyone, maybe they just stood there. And yet, the room adjusted. Conversations slowed. Attention turned. That is the effect you create when you master the art of strategic silence. You don't need a crown, a title, or wealth in that moment. Your presence becomes the authority. Fear and desire coexist in the same pulse, and everyone in that room becomes an unwitting subject to your empire. And there's another layer most people don't even realize. People respect silence because it's rare. Everyone else is noisy, desperate, performing, begging for validation. You, on the other hand, are the calm in the storm, the eye that watches. That rarity creates a kind of gravity. People want to be near you. They want to earn your attention. They want to understand you. And the more they fail, the more they are trapped in the orbit of your silent power. You don't need to assert yourself constantly. The throne is invisible, but it exists, and it is yours the moment you stop chasing approval and start embodying control. Silence is also deceptive. People interpret it in ways that suit them. They assume depth, strategy, intelligence. They read dominance, calculation, mystery. All of these projections feed the empire you're building without saying a word. And here's the most important part. You don't have to perform. You don't have to act. You just exist in that space, and the room bends, shifts, and aligns itself with your presence. This is the core of the silent throne effect. 2. The predator's observation window. In every conversation, there's a hidden layer most people never notice. While they chatter, laugh, argue, or perform for attention, a predator doesn't speak. A predator watches. The predator's observation window is about seeing the unseen, knowing the unspoken, and learning the weak points in every person around you, without them realizing a single thing. Most people are loud, exposed, and predictable. Their words, gestures, micro-expressions, even the spaces they leave empty, are all giving away the power they think they're holding. And you, the silent observer, can harvest it. Imagine sitting in a meeting, a dinner, a social circle. Everyone is busy proving themselves, showcasing their knowledge, their status, their charm. Everyone except you. You remain calm, detached, unreadable. And while they spill their insecurities like wine across a table, you analyze. You notice patterns. You notice who tilts their head when lying, who hesitates before answering, who leans in for approval. Every fidget, every glance, every is a breadcrumb leading straight to their subconscious weaknesses. This is how empires are built behind the scenes. Observation is not passive, it's active dominance. You're taking in the full spectrum of human behavior. The subtle power plays, the desperate attempts to control the room, the covert alliances forming under the surface. You notice what people don't say as much as what they do. In that silence, you create a mental map of influence, control, and leverage. You understand the fears that drive them, the desires that blind them, the arrogance that blindsides them. And all of this gives you a weapon more lethal than any argument, more valuable than any title. The predator's observation window also works like a psychological X-ray. You see the patterns of thought that others desperately try to hide. You detect the lies, the embellishments, the posturing. And because you never reveal what you're seeing, they never know. They operate under the illusion that they are in control, while in reality, every move they make is feeding your strategy. This is the dark triad at work. Manipulation through perception, dominance through calm, control through presence. This method doesn't just make you aware, it makes you feared and desired at the same time. People begin to notice subtle changes in your behavior. A slight nod, a slow blink, an eyebrow raise. They feel it. They think, he's seeing something I don't want him to see. He knows more than he lets on. That dread, that subtle tension, is the glue that binds people to your presence. They want your approval, but they also fear your judgment. And you don't even have to speak. History is full of silent predators who mastered this. Leaders, generals, and CEOs who could enter a room and immediately know who to trust, who to exploit, who to eliminate from the board. They didn't need to raise their voice. They didn't need theatrics. Their observation window did the work. The room became their chessboard. The people around them became pawns, and the silent predator became king. Every empire begins with a gaze, a pause, a stillness that others cannot penetrate. That is the invisible throne again. You sit, they move. And here's the cruel truth most people never learn. Observation isn't passive or kind. It is ruthless. You're not merely collecting information to be polite. You're collecting it to dominate, to manipulate, to leverage, and to rise. Every word they utter, every slip of posture, every reaction to your silence, it's all currency in the empire you're quietly building. You don't have to speak to extract value. You simply allow their behavior to reveal it. The predator's observation window turns every interaction into a battlefield, every casual encounter into a lesson in control. People think they are free, but you already know their patterns, their weaknesses, their fears. And when the time comes, you strike with precision, using the knowledge you harvested while everyone else was still talking. This is the art of silent domination. This is how the Machiavellian glow-up works in real life. When you master this, you realize the power of quiet observation is not just social, it's economic. It's strategic, it's psychological, and it's relentless. People obey without realizing it. People reveal without realizing it. And you, the silent predator, sit on your invisible throne, watching, learning, and preparing for the empire only silence can build. 3. Dread game, the fear of the unknown. There's a terrifying power in the unknown, and few people understand it. Most people rush to fill silence with chatter, explanations, and excuses, thinking that noise equals control. They are wrong. Noise is weakness. Silence, unpredictability, the ability to remain unreadable. That is dominance. Welcome to the dread game. The psychological battlefield where fear and desire collide, where people bend to your invisible throne without realizing it. Dread is not intimidation. It's not threats. It's not showing your teeth or raising your voice. Dread is subtle, psychological, and unrelenting. It's a shadow over every interaction that whispers, I am not fully revealed. You do not yet understand me, and you may never. That shadow is magnetic. People are drawn to it. They fear it. And most importantly, they want to be part of it. Every moment you maintain calm unpredictability, every time you refuse to reveal your strategy, every micro-expression you choose not to explain, you are cultivating dread. Now, here's the beauty of it. Dread forces projection. Humans are wired to fill blanks. When you don't explain your moves, when you don't react immediately, they project their own fears and desires onto you. Are you judging me? Do you already know my secrets? Are you planning to outperform me? That uncertainty gnaws at the mind. It triggers subconscious calculations. And while they are trapped in thought, you hold power. That is the invisible throne. You are not the one running. They are running to understand you. Dread is the ultimate tool of frame control. Every time someone tries to dominate the conversation, the moment they encounter your unreadable calm, the rules change. They are suddenly on your turf. You dictate the psychological tempo. You make others self-conscious. They second-guess. They stumble. They expose weaknesses they didn't know existed. All because you mastered the art of being unknowable. Your stillness becomes the battlefield. Your gaze becomes the weapon. Your silence becomes the empire. History shows this time and again. Leaders who understood dread didn't have to fight every battle. They didn't have to shout. Their mere presence, their unreadable intent, their ability to withhold information created a psychological chokehold over those around them. Roman generals, Wall Street titans, even modern-day CEOs, they understood that the mind bends first before the body obeys. Silence coupled with unpredictability creates fear, but fear is addictive. Fear makes people want to perform for your approval, want to please, want to be near the power they cannot fully understand. But dread is not just about being feared. The genius is that fear and desire coexist. People fear what they don't know about you, and they are drawn to the mystery, the magnetism, the aura of control. You are both predator and prize. You are the godfather in the room, and everyone else is both aware and unaware of their subservience. They chase your attention. They hang on your words when you choose to speak. They anticipate your reaction to every gesture. This is how the dread game turns ordinary conversations into psychological empires. And here's the cruel Machiavellian truth. Most people will never understand this. They are loud, desperate, predictable. They try to fill the silence, over-explain, or react immediately to every provocation. They fail because they don't realize that silence and unpredictability are currencies of power. Your calm, your pause, your slow, measured choices in conversations are invisible gold. Every second you withhold a reaction, every subtle micro-expression you control compounds your dominance. In practical terms, the dread game is about consistency and unpredictability. You don't overreact, you don't overshare, and you never let anyone truly map your intentions. People around you are constantly calculating, analyzing, guessing, and while they are trapped in the fog of their own assumptions, you are free to move, to plan, to conquer. This is the mastery of dark triad energy: manipulation through perception, dominance through stillness, control through subtle psychological tension. The ultimate outcome: you become magnetic, you become untouchable, you become the ruler of the unseen. People obey, people desire, people strategize around you, without a single word of overt power being spoken. Fear plus desire equals control. That is the essence of the dread game. And every interaction you enter after mastering this becomes a silent negotiation in which you already hold all the leverage. 4. The Machiavellian voice rule. In the world of domination, presence is only half the battle. Silence sets the stage. Observation gathers the intel. Dread shapes the field. But your voice is the weapon that delivers the final decisive strike. The Machiavellian voice rule is simple in concept, devastating in execution. When you finally speak, you do it with a precision that commands attention, respects no interruptions, and forces everyone to lean in. Every word becomes a calculated missile. Every pause a psychological hammer. This is not talking. This is controlling reality with sound. Most people speak too much. They fill gaps, they explain themselves, they justify their existence with words. They are loud, eager, obvious, and their power, it dissipates in the noise. Your voice, on the other hand, is scarcity incarnate. It is rare, measured, deliberate. It slices through the chatter like a scalpel. It is deep, slow, controlled, the kind of tone that forces the room to stop and feel it before their brains can even process it. This is Godfather energy. This is invisible authority. When you speak in this manner, people do not question you. They obey silently, drawn into the orbit of your quiet dominance. The genius of the Machiavellian voice rule lies in its rhythm. It is not about monotone or aggression. It is about cadence, volume, and silence woven into every sentence. Speak too fast and your dominance evaporates. Speak too loud and you broadcast desperation. Speak without weight and you become another voice in the crowd. The ideal Machiavellian voice is a master of subtle tension. It's a low hum of power, deliberate pauses, controlled inflections that suggest intelligence, control, and unpredictability. People listen not just to what you say, but to the way you command the space around your words. History provides endless proof. Consider leaders, strategists, titans who mastered the art of measured speech. They did not need to yell to be feared. They did not need flamboyance to be remembered. Roman generals, Wall Street legends, and even modern CEOs understood that a word delivered with weight is a weapon. One slow, precise comment can change the direction of a conversation, alter negotiations, or bend an audience to your will. Your voice is the invisible thread that pulls entire rooms into alignment with your frame. The Machiavellian voice rule is also psychological torture for the unprepared. People are uncomfortable when faced with controlled silence, but when that silence is punctuated with a slow, deliberate word, it becomes intoxicating, hypnotic, and frightening at the same time. Your voice is a mirror reflecting their insecurities, their desires, and their fear. They hang on every syllable, waiting, analyzing, trying to predict your next move. And while they are trapped in your rhythm, your dominance solidifies. They think they are analyzing you, but you are already controlling them. Execution of this rule is deceptively simple but requires mastery. Speak slowly, lower your tone, emphasize key words, pause intentionally, never rush to fill space, never apologize for silence, never explain more than is necessary. Each word becomes a high-value commodity. People respond instinctively to scarcity, and the Machiavellian voice is the ultimate scarcity in a room full of noise. You are the currency, the authority, the throne. This rule also multiplies your power exponentially when combined with the previous strategies. The silent throne effect, observation, dread. Your silence has already forced projection. Your observation has mapped weaknesses. Your dread has injected tension. Now, the Machiavellian voice turns all of that latent energy into action. When you speak, they act, they respond, they yield. Your words become a command. Your tone becomes strategy. Your silence becomes preparation. Your presence becomes an empire. And here's the subtle, ruthless reality most people never grasp. A powerful voice does not compete. It doesn't argue. It doesn't explain. It doesn't entertain. It dominates. People lean in. They obey. They respect without question. Your voice is not just a tool for communication. It is a weapon, a throne, a conduit of invisible power that reinforces your Machiavellian glow-up and cements your authority in every interaction. The Machiavellian voice rule is not about speaking more. It is about speaking like every word counts, because it does. 5. The Godfather frame. There is a subtle force in conversations that few people understand, a power that is invisible yet undeniable. It's not the loudest voice, not the fastest wit, not the flashiest display of knowledge or status. It is what I call the Godfather frame, The ability to set the rules, control the tempo, and dominate psychologically without raising your voice, without explaining yourself, without ever appearing desperate. When you master this frame, the world bends to your presence. People adjust to you. They obey, they defer, they reveal themselves, all without realizing they've entered your orbit. The Godfather frame is not about being intimidating in the obvious sense. It is about creating psychological gravity. You hold the room's energy with calm, deliberate presence. You control timing and pacing. You decide when to speak, when to act, when to nod, and when to stay silent. Every gesture, every pause, every glance becomes a message. People try to fill the void of your silence, often exposing themselves, their intentions, their weaknesses. You never have to force compliance. Your frame silently compels it. When someone challenges you, your response, or lack of it, determines the power flow. The Godfather does not engage in reactive arguing or frantic explanations. Instead, he holds stillness like a weapon. He lets the other person reveal their impatience, their insecurity, their lack of control. That pause, that calm, is more powerful than any retort. People subconsciously recalibrate when confronted with unshakable composure. Your presence becomes a psychological anchor, an invisible throne around which the conversation revolves. This frame also works as a dark triad amplifier. Your Machiavellian calm suggests confidence, intelligence, and control. Your subtle unpredictability triggers fear and intrigue. Your selective engagement creates scarcity and value. People perceive you as untouchable, enigmatic, and highly desirable. You are both predator and prize. The Godfather frame ensures that you are obeyed without a single command, followed without a single request, and respected without a single display of force. Consider historical examples. Legendary figures, both in politics and business, understood this instinctively. Think of leaders whose very presence shifted dynamics without words. People around them adjusted, corrected, and deferred, not because they were coerced, but because the frame demanded it. The room conformed to them. Allies leaned in, rivals hesitated, even enemies reconsidered their moves. That is the essence of the Godfather frame. You control perception before action even occurs. The beauty of this power is in its subtle enforcement. You do not need to dominate every word. You do not need to counter every challenge. You do not need to display aggression. Instead, you use micro-gestures, timing, and silent authority to establish a hierarchy where you sit at the top. Every conversation becomes a silent negotiation, and you hold all the leverage. The room may never consciously recognize it, but your authority is felt and obeyed instinctively. The Godfather frame is also about strategic restraint. People will always test boundaries. They will try to dominate, manipulate, or bait you. The untrained mind reacts, over-explains, or fights back. The master, the one holding the Godfather frame, does not. He lets the moment pass. He lets the challenger reveal their hand. He waits for the opportunity to strike with precision. This restraint is power in its purest form. Patience is dominance. Observation is influence. Stillness is control. And here's the ultimate Machiavellian truth. The Godfather frame is invisible but absolute. People respond, obey, and adapt without knowing why. Your calm enforces respect. Your subtle reactions create dread and desire simultaneously. Your controlled engagement establishes scarcity, elevating your value in every interaction. You become magnetic, untouchable, and omnipresent in the room, all without saying more than necessary. Mastering the Godfather frame is mastering the art of psychological authority. It is the silent engine of influence. It is the seat of the invisible throne. It is the Machiavellian glow-up that transforms conversations into empires, interactions into leverage, and presence into power. 6. The invisible power exchange. Every conversation, every social interaction, every negotiation contains a hidden currency: power. Most people don't see it. Most people spend their energy speaking, performing, proving, trying to gain influence openly, and they fail. The truly dangerous Machiavellian operators understand that power flows silently, invisibly, and subtly. This is the essence of the invisible power exchange. It's the unspoken transaction happening every time two minds meet. A flow of dominance and submission that you can control without ever raising your voice, without ever appearing forceful. The invisible power exchange begins with observation. Before you speak, before you react, before you make a single move, you measure the room. You identify who craves validation, who fears exposure, who seeks approval, and who underestimates your presence. In doing so, you understand where the power lies. In most cases, it doesn't lie in the loudest, most aggressive person. It lies with the one who can remain unreadable, calm, and deliberate. That is the beginning of silent domination. You are not seeking approval. You are observing, mapping, and preparing to extract leverage from the weaknesses and desires you've identified. When you choose to speak, and in a Machiavellian way you speak rarely, you do so strategically. Every word becomes a transaction. People respond instinctively. They reveal more than they intend, expose themselves, and react to the frame you have already established. They do not notice that they are giving power to you. They believe they are participating, negotiating, or asserting control. This is the invisible shift. They are feeding your empire while thinking they are acting independently. This is the brilliance of the invisible power exchange. What makes this concept truly lethal is that it creates compounding influence. One interaction, handled correctly, sets a precedent. People begin to anticipate your behavior, your pace, your tone, and your silence. They adjust to you without realizing it. They self-regulate in your presence. They are unwitting participants in your psychological empire. Your power multiplies quietly, exponentially, without the need for force, aggression, or spectacle. They obey silently. They chase your attention. They reveal their secrets. And you are the unseen architect of it all. The invisible power exchange also amplifies desire and dread simultaneously. Humans are drawn to people they cannot fully understand, and yet are consistently rewarded by their presence. You become the prize and the predator. They crave your attention but fear your judgment. They follow your lead but cannot predict your moves. That tension, that magnetic push and pull, is the signature of someone who has mastered not just influence, but total psychological control. And the beauty of it? It happens without confrontation. It happens without force. It happens because you understand the rules that govern human attention, fear, and desire, and you enforce them invisibly. This power exchange is reinforced when combined with all the other Machiavellian strategies we've discussed: the silent throne effect, observation, dread, the Machiavellian voice, and the Godfather frame. Silence primes the room. Observation identifies vulnerabilities. Dread destabilizes the unaware. Your voice asserts subtle authority. The Godfather frame holds the environment. And then the invisible power exchange ensures that every reaction, every gesture, every word from others feeds your empire, often without them even realizing it. You are never just participating, you are orchestrating. You are never just interacting, you are dominating. In practical terms, Mastering the invisible power exchange means acting with strategic restraint, letting others speak themselves into your orbit, and then positioning your responses with calculated precision. It is about letting people unknowingly work for your advantage, aligning their actions with your objectives, and leveraging their desires, insecurities, and ambitions to multiply your influence. Every conversation becomes a battlefield, every interaction a chessboard, and every person an unwitting contributor to your legacy of control. This is how true Machiavellians operate. They build influence silently. They dominate conversations without over-explaining. They extract value without forcing it. They are feared and desired, respected and envied. They sit on an invisible throne in every room, every encounter, every relationship. And it all starts with understanding the invisible power exchange, the subtle, unseen flow of influence that can be harnessed ruthlessly, strategically, and without mercy. Once you internalize this, you will realize that the true measure of dominance is not how much you speak, but how much power you command, while saying almost nothing at all. Speak rarely, and they'll hang on every word like it's a command.